Hello everyone, welcome to week 2 of Intro to the New Testament. I am changing it up a little bit this week and posting a video version of the announcements as well as the abbreviated textual version so that you can take your pick, whichever is easier for you. I wanted to just offer a few pieces of advice or reminders as we get started. The first one is a very important one to note. Daylight saving time is now in effect in every state except for Arizona. So very lucky for us, we have a campus in Arizona. Arizona is now 2 hours behind Central Time. So that means discussions and assignments in Arizona are now due by 9:59 p.m. Arizona time. Okay, 9:59, because 2 hours ahead of that, where the central location is 11:59 p.m. So be sure to get those in before 9:59 p.m. when they're due. I wanted to offer a few reminders about discussion posts. I know that this is probably not new to many of you, but just in case. To clarify, last week I wanted to ease into it a little bit. I know there was a lot of reading to take in, the first 5 chapters of the textbook and maybe even some of the biblical text. So I only had one discussion post apart from the introduction. So I just want to clarify, going forward, each week you must reply to 2 discussion prompts. Going forward, weeks 2 through 8, there are going to be 2, just like normal policy is, okay? There will likely be multiple prompts in the weekly thread, so the question or the topic of the week will have multiple prompts in there, and you're going to have to choose 2 of those to make your initial reply. I would just ask that you make life easy for all of us and post separate replies for each prompt. So in other words, if there are 5 possible prompts for you to choose from and you want to do prompts 2 and 4, post a reply for prompt 2 and post a separate reply for prompt 4. You title them appropriately. You can even say, prompt 2, and then the title of your post or the subject of your post, or, prompt 4, whatever the subject is. That's totally fine. That would actually be helpful for grading. But that will allow us to keep the topics separate and the threads of conversation cleaner, rather than trying to intermingle, all the prompts in various single threads, okay? As a reminder, you must submit these 2 initial replies to those prompts by Wednesday night each week. And then before Sunday night, you must have a total of 4 other interactions posted in response to something that a classmate said. Okay? So, by the way, please don't wait until, 9 o'clock p.m. on Sunday to post all your 4 replies. That's not really fair to anybody. It doesn't give people an opportunity to respond or interact. It stifles conversation. Spirit of the law, not the letter of the law here. Also, to count, these cannot just be mere, short, pithy affirmations like, oh, good point, I agree with you. Those don't count. Your replies to classmates, your interactions must be substantive in themselves. They must do something to further the conversation or to add to or highlight the conversation. They can't just be, sort of a proverbial nod of the head, okay? So, in summary, each week you need a total of 6 discussion posts. 2 of those are going to be to the questions that I have posed to you for the week. You'll choose 2 of those prompts and reply to those. And then 4 responses to something that your classmates said. Okay? Let's talk about reading. There is a lot of reading in this class. I know that. There's really no way around it. Here's my advice for reading. Give priority to the biblical text, then the textbook, and then the supplemental materials in Blackboard for the week. This is not me giving you permission not to read the textbook. That's not what's happening here, okay? What is happening here is me acknowledging that we're all busy people, we're balancing multiple responsibilities and competing priorities, and I understand that. And so if push comes to shove in a given week, don't forsake reading the biblical text in favor of the textbook or supplemental materials. We are taking a New Testament class after all, so it makes sense you should read the New Testament, right? Okay, so give priority there. I would also advocate for you reading the biblical text first and then the textbook's commentary on that. That's just a good practice in general, but That's your choice. It's up to you. You can do it however you want. I just find that being familiar with the text of the New Testament and then reading the textbook really helps me not to get lost in the details of what the author is saying. Here's a key piece of advice, okay? Very, very important. Set aside enough time to read the entire biblical book in one sitting. So if you're going to read the Gospel of Matthew, it's long, right? 28 chapters. Set aside 2 to 3 hours, how much ever you need, to read the entire Gospel of Matthew at once. Same thing for Revelation, same thing for Luke, same thing for Acts, same thing for Romans, right? Some of those letters it gets really easy to do. Some of the books it's a little harder, it takes a lot more time, but nothing will do for you what that will do for you. You will see the book as a cohesive whole. You will see the whole thing as it was intended to be understood, right? That is critical because context determines meaning. And so here's a couple examples. Matthew and Mark, right? You will get hints about the purpose, the theme, the audience, the overarching message, even maybe a high-level outline of the book. If you do that, you can see by repetition or by patterns, you can begin to discern some of these things. Gospel of Matthew, for example. There is a phrase that creeps up a couple of different times, which kind of breaks up the book into some major divisions. From that time, Jesus began to fill in the blank, right? A new section has arrived. You'll see all kinds of key words repeated, like authority, healing, demons, crowds, amazed, preaching, teaching, right? You'll see keywords that begin to give you clues as to the nature of the book. In Mark, for example, there's a keyword you'll see a lot. Immediately, right? It tells you something about Mark's gospel. Okay, so enough about that. How about, finally, advice for quoting the Bible? We use the Open English Bible in this class because it's copyright free. You do not have to use the Open English Bible. Now you're going to have to in terms of the annotation assignments in Hypothesis, but for quoting them in a paper or discussion post, you don't have to use the Open English Bible, okay? You can use any version you want. Most publishers give you permission to quote up to a certain number of verses without any special permission. Check out the copyright page at the front of your Bible to determine what that is and then comply with those, okay? You may ask, what's the best version to use? Well, that's up to you. The only bad version or the only bad translation is the only one that you use. In other words, you should read multiple versions. You should compare multiple versions. This will give you a hint as to the interpretive nuances of the process of translation, and it will hint where there are some difficulties posed by the underlying manuscripts. It's really insightful, can be. Okay, finally, if you do quote from the Bible anywhere, from any version, right, you must cite it properly. So follow APA style when you cite scriptural texts. Okay, that's all I've got for you this week. God bless you. I'm here and happy to help. If you need anything, you can reach out to me via email, phone call. You can set up a Zoom meeting with me. You can Teams message me. You can Blackboard message me. Email is preferred. It's probably the best method for me personally, but I will do my best to take in input from all streams. So please reach out if I can be of any help to you. All right. God bless you. Good luck this week.